Just want to check a few things here. Brilliant. Right, we're live now. Oh, Bosh. Hello, you're late, not good enough. How are you, Oisin? What's the crack? Who's going to win, Oisin, by the way? And not who you want to win because you don't want Derry to get into Europe. Who's actually going to win? I'll tell you what we'll start off with. We'll wait until a few filter in, hopefully. We'll just talk about the crowd, actually, initially, Daz, because, there's 35,000 tickets sold. The highest attendance in the Aviva was in 2010 at 36,100 and something or other.
Yeah.
I think it's going to surpass the 35. I was probably being a bit ambitious when I said a couple of weeks ago, as you know yourself, that I think it should be hitting 40,000 and we can hit 40,000. Can we hit 40,000, do you think? Can we get there?
I think there's certainly, ambition there. If we're hitting 35 and the numbers will keep going up, it's there. But I just think the fact now that, it's on Sunday, I don't think we're going to hit 40. But I think it's just great to be at where we're at. And I think that's an excellent number that we've reached. So absolutely fair play to anyone that's going.
Yeah, I thought, a lot of neutrals would want to go to this and not neutrals should go to this. First Dublin Derby final since 2010, I believe. No, it's actually longer. 2000, isn't it? Or 2001? Someone might correct me in the comments there.
I was in 8 or 9, I think.
No, I think it's 2000 or 2001. I think it's either been 20 or 21 years. Someone in the comments tell me. I'm sure someone knows since there was a Dublin Derby Cup final. Is it true Dad's going to give a spine tingle in relation to hold me now and down on Sunday? He does that anyway. Yeah, there you go. 2001. I'm heading Keith and Daz. Be a massive game Sunday. Yeah, absolutely. There's a drop of the fan. Jake Davis. He's heading as well. I'd be heading anyway, to be honest with you. But it promises to be a good game. I think if you're neutral, you're looking forward to this one as well. Where's the main man? Lee Des was best mate. Unfortunately, Keane couldn't make it. She got caught in work. Unfortunately, he had to work late, so he's annoyed himself. So it's disappointing, to be honest, but not his fault. But he's annoyed himself. He couldn't make it, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Women's international games start probably not the best time for a live broadcast, lads. Well, Sunrise, I'm sorry, but we couldn't get any other time. It was the only time we could actually get a live broadcast. But the good thing is that people can actually check back in this video anyway. So it'll be available over the next few days. We can't make it. You know what I mean? So that's fine.
As well as that, if you're watching it, I want to throw in a few comments about it. Let us know how it's going and stuff. And
yeah, do actually.
Yeah,
do. No, I do. I'm here saying now. Luckily, I'm a Pats fan, so that kind of, that does help in the situations Keno's feared. But I'm going to start off with something a little bit controversial. I don't know if we agree or not with this, but Keith Long is suspended, obviously, for the cup final. Just let us know your thoughts, Dads, overall about that, basically.
Yeah, look, I actually think it's quite disappointing. We've seen other things in the league happen where managers didn't get a suspension for stuff, or you're looking at other not even managers, even players. Georgie Kelly got suspended.
Here goes the Hoover.
Georgie Kelly for Bows got suspended.
You're not singing anymore. You're not singing anymore. Sorry, go ahead.
Georgie Kelly got suspended in the cup, and it didn't go through in the league game, but it went in the cup. And then, Keith Long is getting this kind of a ban. It's just even Stephen O'Donnell came out and he said that that's not right, and he showed an awful lot of class by coming out and actually saying that, because I'm sure Pats fans and himself are happy that Keith Long can't be on a touchline. That's a big loss for us in that day.
I will say, in terms of Steve O'Donnell, he probably wouldn't have wanted to rock the boat, and I think he's covering his arse a little bit as well, because he's thinking, if I'm in that situation, I better come out the comp. I think there's elements of it that's actually harsh, but at the same time, I think himself and Bradley acted like complete gobshites, to be honest with you. And if you don't act like a gobshite, you don't get suspended. Ollie Horgan, to be fair, has probably got red cards for less, if I'm honest with you, this season. I just thought they act like the two of them, the pair of them are in it, act like planks, and you give yourself an option to be missing for the cup final. The suspensions of the manager sometimes carry over. It's sometimes not necessarily the next game. We've seen that, and for long it's unfortunate. It's the cup final, but you should have had that in his head a little bit. There was a cup final coming on. Just behave yourself a little bit.
Definitely.
If Bradley's acting the tick, let's say, just fucking ignore him. Now, I understand what people are saying. He'll not be able to do this, not be able to communicate with the players. He has a telephone, though.
Yeah,
he will be able to communicate
he
somewhere.
will,
And
yeah.
I will say, I don't think he's a massive loss, honestly, on the touchline. I'll tell you why. Because I think Bowes know how they're going to set up. He's going to be working with them all week. Trevor Crowley and him, they work together side by side. Crowley will know exactly what's up and stuff like that. Like, honestly. Are you chanting out of Hoover? I am indeed chanting out of Hoover. Was.
Crawley is an excellent number 2 as well. I think he's one of the best assistants you could have in the League of Ireland. Like, he's managed as well, like, so he definitely knows what he's doing. Like, he's a really good coach too, and he's someone that Keith Long really raves about. He really likes Trevor Crawley, and I think Trevor Crawley is a very big hidden asset to Bowes as well, like what he brings to the players and all. And the players always seem to speak really highly of him. And
he's a great coach. He's arguably the best coach in the league.
Yeah, he's a very, very good coach, and he obviously, as I said, he managed to. He's got a lot of experience as well. Like, so he's excellent to have, and I'm sure. Like, I don't agree with you. I do think he is a big loss to Bowes at the touchline, but I know what you're saying. You're saying that the both fellas will be able to cope and they know what they're doing, and Trevor Crowley's there to stand in. So I know what you're saying, but I still think he is a loss to Bowes on the touchline.
But don't get me wrong, there will be communication. Like, there will be phone communication as well.
Oh yeah,
don't worry about that. Like, yeah, absolutely. But just looking through some of the comments here, we'll be skip on and. What's that one there? Sorry, dead man walking. I know that's Craig. Brad Sir and him didn't scrap boys. Brad Sir saying calling words, but they were at loggerheads. Their heads were touching each other's heads. So you can't be at that. Like, what I mean? Like, Bradley isn't going to say I was headbutting Keith Long and he was headbutting me. Now I know that's a bit far, but they were in each other's face basically. Their heads were touching their heads. During COVID as well, by the way. That's not great. But look, it's just it is one of those things, but. Managers have been sent off for less, let's say, this season. I will say that for giving guff on that. But they were ashes before that as well. Like, and the referee probably had enough of them, if I'm honest with you. Crowley's a great coach. Never, ever consider managing again. Yeah, he's one of them. He's a coach, but he's not a manager. He's a brilliant coach, but he was never a manager. It just happens. Some people are more suited to coaching. Keith Long maybe isn't suited to coaching, but he might be a good manager. And as a team, they work very well together. Clancy and Doherty are the same at Drogheda without straining too much. Pete was looking for a goozer. What's a goozer? Must be a Tala term, is it? Goozer. You know what a goozer is, Dad?
I don't know if I want to know.
I don't know what a goozer is. It must be a Tala term. But yeah, I'll tell you what, Daz, right? Pick your 1 to 11. I'll tell you what, pick the 1 to 11 you'd like to see, not what you think will happen, which could be the same, by the way. But it'll be interesting to see if we can match up here on Sunday, basically.
Yeah, so I suppose going in goals, there'd be no change. We get James Talbot if he's fit and available. There'd be no change there, obviously. I'll be going 4-3-3. 4-3 attacking with 2 wingers. Obviously the striker would be Georgie Kelly. Right back then, Andy Lyons. Centre backs, Cornwall and Kelly. We don't really have any real other kind of contenders or options for the backs. Left back then, obviously, you've got Breslin, who's probably more defensive. But you got Wilson, who's more attacking, like, can give you something different. And I think, Wilson, as I said there, with you and Kieran, he's got that uniqueness about him, like he's a set piece taker, free kick specialist. That could separate 2 teams in any given day. So I'd have Wilson in the team, but Breslin, a strong contender to come in at any time of the game, then, if anything happened. I suppose going with 2 defensive midfielders, if you want to call them that, box-to-box midfielders, defensive midfielders, I'd be looking at Devine and Keith Buckley. I think they'd probably kind of pick themselves. I think Mullins has had a great season. I wouldn't start him in the cup final, but I'd have him on the bench. Definitely would have him on the bench. Livingston, I just think Buckley and Devine would be better options just there at this time.
Absolutely.
The player then playing just ahead of him, that's right, you guessed it, Ross Tierney. No surprises there. There'd be no changes there, obviously. I think Ross is a smashing young lad. His last game for Bowes, he'd want to come up with the winner for Bowes for sure in the cup final. Expect him to have a very lively game. I expect him to be on the move and try and look for a goal. I think if he's playing that bit further ahead and has a license to go forward, it'll really suit his game. And he's going to press Cyprus North tomorrow. He's going to want to do so well for his last game for Bowes. So I think that'll be midfield 3. I think the 2 wingers then, Keith, I think that they'll probably pick themselves then too. And you're looking at Liam Burt, and you're looking at Coots.
Brain fart.
Brain fart, God. Yeah, look, it's no really our kind of options really springs to mind. I think that's, and you obviously have George Kelly up front. Like I said, there's no one else really that you're going to come in.
Any chance Promise plays ahead of Kelly though?
No, I think Promise has had an excellent season since he's come in. I'm a really big fan of him. I think he's really grown into Bowes, and I really hope he's here next season. I think he's starting to come up with the goods now. He's got a bit of stick off Bowes fans at the start of the season, and he just wasn't really going about much, but he's really changed. I think he's proven so much, and he's done himself the world of good, the goals and the performances he's put in, and he's definitely an option to come on. But I think if you've got Georgie Kelly, you need to play him. There's Keno there going the same since coming into Core. No, it's not Keno.
Yeah, Keno, they think you've chickened out, but I've assured them that you haven't chickened out.
Don't like Keno. Don't mind him. The pressure got to you. He told them.
Rubbish. There was a question there and it's completely disappeared. Hang on, I can get it back now. Sorry. Savage attendance, yeah, brilliant stuff. Yeah, absolutely so far, and we can get higher. This question here, can you take up that question, Daz? Will Bowes not getting Europe through the league work for them or against them, pressure-wise, in your opinion?
Will Bowes not getting Europe through the league work for them against their pressure? See, the thing is that this actually could be a long answer. The fact now that they're going into the cup final, there's more pressure.
Did you say a long answer?
Yeah. So I think the fact that they're going into the cup final now and they have to win to secure Europe, I think gives them extra motivation to win the cup, believe it or not. I think they'll have that back of their head, Europe and a cup, more so than just go with a cup. But the fact, if they had it finished third in the league and had it secured, they wouldn't be thinking of Europe then, because that's secure. It would only be in the cup, so there'd be a bit of element of relief that I don't.
Do you have to ignore that though? Kind of.
You do, of course you do. But
yeah, we're playing the cup final here. We're playing for silver. Where park everything else for the minute, because you'd argue that's enough to be on your mind as it is.
I think
because you can only worry about that side of it, like, oh, what if we don't get into Europe? You know, that kind of way.
Well, you see, I have to say I don't agree with that. I think if you're a player, it's going to be in the back of your head. You're going to be thinking of, especially if you've played with Bowes, Hawk, and all these great teams and done so well, and you're in the Aviva. It was great memories. We were back when everyone else, all Ireland fans were gone, and all them memories are going to last them players forever.
I'll throw this one at you though, Daz. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll throw this at you. 4 or 5 of that team probably won't be there next season.
Or 4 or 5 of them might be there if they win the cup and get into Europe.
Well, Ross Tierney's definitely going. We know that.
Yeah, no, he's gone.
So he's going
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to be fully focused on silverware. Rob Cornwell is going as well. He's going to be fully focused on silverware. I'm pretty sure Buckley will be going. And then we don't know after that. There's talk about Breslin thing. So I'm just saying devil's advocate, really. I'm not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with my point. I'm just throwing it out there.
I know what you mean. And obviously, this is something we're become up and late on the show. The fact that Bowes lose so much players every season. I think it's a great topic of conversation for any club because it happens throughout the League of Ireland.
Well, I'm sure Pats are going to lose a few as well, but I think it's more obvious with Bowes at the moment, isn't it?
It is. But just going back to the question, though, that we'll put out, I think it's going to work in Bowes' favour. I really do. I think they're going to want to secure European football. As a group, I think they're going to want to do it. And individually, they want to do it. I know you're saying 4 or 5 are going, and maybe so, but I think they're going to be one part of that group that's won the cup, that brought their good times back and secured Europe once again when we've written their league. So I think it'll work in their favour a little bit. You have to.
I actually think that for both teams. Sorry, guys. I think for both teams, to be honest, I know Pats have secured Europe. It's something a bit different than all. But I think winning silverware, forget about Europe for a minute. That doesn't exist just for 2 minutes. I think winning silverware is huge for these clubs. We've seen in the last couple of years how Dundalk have generally won most of the cups, and Rovers won it last year. Cork won a cup. The last team actually outside of those teams was Pats to win a cup, and that was 2014. Bowes, the last time they were in the cup final, was 2008, in which they beat Derry. Funnily enough, Pats beat Derry in the final as well, and so did Bowes. But I think it's a huge thing. I think it means more. I saw what it meant to Rovers last year, kind of, or the year before, rather, when COVID confuses you, doesn't it? But at the same time, I don't know. You felt it was coming with Rovers, but with Bowes and Pats, not necessarily that silverware was on their way to one of the clubs. So I think winning the cup is going to be massive for both these clubs, isn't it? And the clubs.
Definitely.
Importance is,
And I do remember people saying about Keith Longtooth, the only thing he hasn't done at Bowes is brought silverware to Bowes, and that really is sure that the case. And the things he's done in the budget that we've had, like the shoestring budget, the players that he's brought, the gems he's uncovered, it's just brilliant. Like
he wasn't expected to win silverware though. That's
no, definitely not. And I think we all need to take a step back at times and realise, well, we finished second in the league, we qualified for Europe. This is way above expectations, especially when he took over. Because I remember when he took over, God, I'd be thinking it'd be great now to finish 6th or 7th in the league and just be safe, like, you know. And this is
and he was doing that for the first few seasons, actually. To be fair,
yeah,
he was doing that, steadying the ship.
Yeah, exactly. And he actually brought. This is when he brought Ford Sewell from St. Pat's, and everyone was like, "Who is he?" And this is when it all started to come together, and he brought in all these new players and keep long. He's got it right every single season. But I think this season, one thing that you could probably argue that he got a bit wrong was having one striker relying solely on Georgie Kelly. I think it was a bit of a fault from Keeklong. I do believe he could have brought someone else in, someone better with him, and it just didn't materialise. Obviously, transfer dealings break down, as we all know. Here he was supposed to join Pats hours before he signed with Bowes. So he very much could have had someone to come in, but it just didn't happen. So I think that's probably more the case that he didn't go looking for a striker, because he's not stupid. Anyone at any level, you go and have 2 strikers if you can. You're not going to just have one. So I don't think he had one, and that was it. And a lot of people seem to think that definitely wasn't the case.
Bradley Rolt, he was a flop. When that happens, sometimes you get players that are flops. He was certainly flop. I'll go through my Pats 1 to 11 now as well. So this is the team I would pick. I've questions whether O'Donnell will pick this team, 1 or 2 positions, but obviously Yaris and goal. Everyone's fit for Pats, by the way, bar Mountney, who's out for the season, and I believe it's the same for Bowles. I can't think even Mallon is fit as such, as in he could be available on the bench. What story would be if he came out and got the winner after his injuries this season?
Actually,
you know what I mean?
He's come on to the last 2 games of Bowles, so he actually is there.
He's a really good player, Daz. He just suffers badly from injuries, even at Derry as well. I feel sorry for him, because he's as good as any of the wingers. So wingers, when I say at Bowles, Cooch isn't really a winger as such. But Pat's team, Yaris and goal. I think right back it has to be Sam Bone. I think that's a weakness where Bowles could possibly exploit, but Pats don't have anyone better available. So it's simple as that. They've Hickman, but I think Bone is, I suppose, more of a leader, more of a presence in the team. Left back, then I think it'd be Birmingham, but you can see an argument for Griffin as well, because Griffin's a bit more athletic. But you know, he could come on after about 50 or 60 minutes or whatever, like, you know what I mean? But I think Birmingham has to play, to be fair. Centre backs, Desmond and Barrett nailed on. The midfield is the question for me. You've got 4 options, serious options, unlike Bowes, where Bowes, the 3 are set. You know the 3 they're going to pick. Pats of Lennon, Forrester. Now, Forrester starts, obviously. Benson and Lewis. There's an interesting question for me. I'd go with Lennon, I'd go with Forrester, and I would go with Benson, actually. But there's a chance O'Donnell doesn't go with Lennon, which could prove to be a mistake, in my opinion, because Lennon is a highly underrated, exceptional defensive midfield player. Bowes have Ross Tierney. Ross Tierney goes into very good areas, and Pats will need someone to not man mark him, but be aware of the danger he can pose. Now, I don't think Alfie Lewis, who sometimes plays in the 6, as a playmaking, a deep line playmaker, has that defensive prowess and that thought in his head where he needs to get into certain positions, or can. But I would go with, Lennon, Forrester and Benson. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Lewis in and Lennon out, even Benson out. But they're the 3 I'd go with, because I think Benson has been there. He's done it all. And that's the difference as well. I'll come back to that in a second. I'll just go through the rest of the team. Up top will be Smith, Burns and King. And we talked with Smith the other day, who plays as a striker. Not really a striker, though. They're fluid. They move between positions. They change, you interchange. They could cause Bowles a lot of problems in defence, to be honest. They're in a big pitch and the way they interchange. But what was the thing I was going to come back to in a second? I've forgotten now. Benson, sorry. It was to do with Benson as such, but to do with the experience. Everyone talks about Bowles have the experience of the Aviva, and they do, absolutely. They played 3 games there. They performed brilliantly there. They won them all there. I don't think they conceded a goal. No, they didn't concede a goal, right? But Pats of players that have actually won the FAI Cup and been there in the big occasion. John Mountney isn't there, but he's in the dressing room. Paddy Barrett has done with Dundalk. Who else? We got Bermo has done it. Forrester has won the cup. They've lost and won cups, so they've seen both sides of it, you know. Who else have we got? Benson, centre midfield. He's one of those players as well, where he's obviously won a lot with
Paddy Barrett, did you say him?
Griffin was the other one. Again, part of the squad. Griffin was the other one.
Like,
Here's one for you. Ben McCarthy could again.
Like,
you could do Jamie, actually. Yeah. It's a lot of experience there, winning cups.
That's so much experience of lads who got together and won the cup, has been there and has done it. And like you said, something that they have too that a lot of teams mightn't have is to have someone who's done both. You know what it's like to lose the cup and how it feels and the disappointment that brings.
Whereas Bows haven't really got anyone like that, as far as I know. Georgie Kelly probably as a bit part for Dundalk, maybe. But
that's it. And
probably about it, yeah.
That actually is it. Everyone else is like, you know, they've been scrapping for Bows to try and get us up the league, and they've done ever so well with Bows, but there's no cup experience, there's no winner experience of who actually won.
Yeah. If Bows win the final, you see, Dads, if Bows win the final, a lot of people are going to say it's because of the experience they've had in the Aviva. I don't think so, because I think Pats have experienced players who've been there and done it before, with other clubs, mind, but they have been there and done it before. So I don't think it's a case of Bows win it. It's because of the Aviva experiences. I'm not buying that. If they win it on merit and on the day. But I don't think they necessarily win it because they won a couple of games in Europe there. You know?
No, I don't think so either. I think it's fine. It's kind of funny if we say that, because then when you're looking at the playoff with Waterford, and if they always do well at Pats, and we were saying, you know, they might do well in that ground. So.
Although they're a different case without going too deep, because they've been suffering turmoil, whereas Pats and Bows haven't been suffering that turmoil.
Yes,
so
true,
you know,
But taking that out of the equation, then no, I think it's going to come down to the day. I think you can play outside on the ground out there, and it's still going to come down to the day. It doesn't matter where you play, who you play. It's down to the day.
What do you expect, Stans? What do you expect from the game, apart from who you think will win? I'm sure you think Bows will win. I think Pats will win. But apart from that, what kind of game are you actually expecting here?
Cagey. I think both teams are going to go for it from the off.
Do you think the big pitch, though? I'm trying to paint the picture here. Obviously, I've seen Bows at the Aviva live, as you have as well.
I tell you what, I see actually. I can see, honestly.
Do you see a lot of space? Do you see a lot of space in the game?
I was actually going to say, and if people mightn't agree with this now, I can kind of see Bows starting really brightly and going for it straight away, and Pat sitting back a little bit. The only reason is because Bows might have that spring in their step from having beaten the Aviva. And they just might just really go for it at the start, because they know how beat the pitches, whereas past players, they haven't been there, you know, a while, shall we say. But it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very hard to pick what way it's going to go and how it's going to go, because cup final, anything can happen. It all comes down to the day. A referee's mistake, a penalty, an extra kick.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. Whatever happens, I hope a bad referee mistake doesn't win the game. I'll get to that question in a minute, because I'm kind of sticking with this topic because it's an interesting one as well. Bows are dodgy defensively, we know that. And I spoke earlier there how Burns, Smith and King can cause, you've seen them in action against Bows as well, they can cause serious damage to that Bows defence. But on the flip side, Pats often play with a very, very high line. And I mean a high line, up to the halfway line. And they don't have an awful lot of pace in their back line that can get caught out. So Burton players of that Tierney running through can cause problems. Funnily enough, Promise would be more likely to cause an issue against that setup than Kelly. But I'm just wondering to myself, do Pats play that way, or do they kind of take a step back? It's an interesting one, because I know what they're trying to do when they're doing that, by the way. They're trying to squeeze the play and condense the opposition, and the opposition find it difficult to get out. Promello, that's a good one. The opposition, you know, Lukaku, Promello. But the opposition find it difficult to get out. But for me, it just lends to, even if it's cagey, I can't see the game not being open for a lot of those reasons. And as I said, you know, with that front three of Pats and their movement and capabilities, it's very difficult to see any team keeping a clean sheet here, no matter what happens.
No, I can't see it being a clean sheet.
Yeah.
I do think both teams will score. I can see that happening for sure, because Pats and Bows have scored a lot of goals this season, and they're both good attacking teams, and we both stand out, you know, attacking players that a lot of teams around the country would like to have. So, you know, I think looking at it that way, it's going to be very attacking, and I hope it is for the neutrals. Obviously, I hope Bows win, but I hope for the neutrals watching, I hope it's a good game of football. I hope it's open and attacking, but Bows win, obviously. But, you know, I do hope it's like that. And
it could be one of those where I think it'll be open, but I think there will be mistakes, because, as I said, remember the 2-2 draw, and there was mistakes all over the place. It was a great game to watch, but
it was. So like three then goals was like mistakes. I think it was, like, you know, back passes, they missed hit pass the whole way back to Talbot, like, you know, stuff like that. And like Bows, I tell you, if they do that now, on Sunday, forget about it. They cannot do anything like that.
And that's the funny thing, Daz. I agree with you, but then I'm thinking to myself, if Pats play that high line and Bows exploit it, then you're thinking for Pats, forget about it. So you've got that dynamic coming into play as well. But I think the interesting thing, that midfield is going to be seriously interesting, because Forrester, Devoy, and players like that are going to love playing at the Aviva Stadium. We've already seen it with Devoy, the way he gets on the ball and makes things happen on a big pitch like that. Forrester will be in his element there as well. Their two players are definitely going to play, and I know they're not marking each other as such, but whoever wins that particular battle between Forrester and Devoy could go a long way to deciding this game, because they're going. If Pats are going to win, you're going to have to think to yourself that Forrester's going to have an influence in this game, and if Bows are going to win, you're going to think to yourself that Devoy's going to have an influence in this game.
Definitely, because a lot of our attacking players kind of start from them players from the midfield, shall you say? Like, they're the ones that's picking the key player out, picking the key pass out, dropping back, picking the ball up.
You keep them kicking, don't they? Yeah.
They keep it kicking, and they're the player that, you know, lends the ball, gives it back, lends it again, gives it back, holds possession, and then, you know, they look up to see a really good pass, and boom, it's made. And they're the only two players, I think, in both of our teams that can do that. And they're going to be very key. I wouldn't be surprised to keep Buckley, Martin Forrester, and then say if he plays Alfie Lewis and Lennon on the bye. And
that's dangerous, though.
I
agree with you, but I think that's dangerous. I think sometimes when you get a player to man mark, causes other issues, because you're distracted by the man marking job that you might sniff danger around. I think the likes of Buckley and Lennon, if he plays, I hope he plays personally, they sniff danger, and that danger mightn't be from Devoy at that minute in time. It mightn't be from Ross Tierney at that minute of time. I don't know what Rory Alley's talking about. Was it someone do an LOI sing your dialect on Sunday night? That was flipping hell. But what's I going to say to you?
Yeah, Keith can do that
now. No way. Keane will do that for his punishment.
Yeah, Keane will do that. He'll make up for not being on tonight.
Keane will do it. It's easier to say the fella that isn't here to do it. But no, look, there's so many interesting matchups here, isn't there, guys? There's so many interesting scenarios. And I think from Bow's point of view, they have to expect Pats to come out with their best game. And same for Pats. They have to expect Bow's to come out with their best game, because I've seen a few people say, Bow's have been very inconsistent this season. Pats are favourites. And then I've seen other people say, Bows have had the games with the Aviva. Bows are favourites. I don't think any of them things influence each team being favourites, because it's on the day, and on their day, Pats are very good. On their day, Bows are very good. So it's a cup final. This is not the league. This is not the league championship. You know what I mean? Leicester City beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final last year. So literally anyone can win on the cup final day. And in reality, in terms of overall quality of the players, there's not an awful lot between them. Pats maybe had a little bit more digging out quality in the league this season.
Yeah.
But Bows, I've said this before, and I said this earlier in the season, to be fair. I don't know if you remember. I said Bows are set up for a cup. They're a cup team at this minute in time.
Yeah. I remember you saying that months ago, and here we are now in the cup final. I think that too, like we said there the other night, the one to the 1-11 with yourself. I think our centre backs, I hope they need to perform now. I think, if balls come in, they need to be clear, to be pushing up, they need to be collective and grouped together. Because it'd be shocking to be that player that makes a slip up in the day and to cause the cup final. You don't want that to happen.
And that's an interesting point there. You've taken up an interesting point there, to be fair, because I would say Pats have the advantage when it comes to set pieces plays. I think free kicks, corner kicks, and things like that. I think most teams do over Bows, actually. They get a little bit bullied in those situations, don't they, at times this season? Crosses into the box and scrappy goals and that.
Oh, yeah, or especially,
Derry, there was a few like that against Derry City now, I seem to recall.
There was that time when we were 1-0 up. I think it was Rory Higgins. Is it his first game or...
second or first game, literally second game,
This they came back with like two very late goals, crossed in and set pieces and floated in. It's not dealt with. Like, it's just awful looking at. No one took control. No one took leadership. No one said, that's my ball, I'll get rid of it. No one cleared it and then pushed up, regrouped, got their shape back. We need to do that. And that's something that's let us down so much this season. Not just
do you think Keith Long might put Breslin in the team for those reasons as well? Because he's a little bit taller and a little bit more stronger physically than Wilson. Like, I know Wilson's good at free kicks and stuff, but that's another reason why Breslin gets in the team, I think, occasionally.
Definitely.
Recently he's been in mostly,
I think if I was to if you would ask me, do I want to start defensively stronger or attackingly stronger, I'd probably pick to start defensively stronger, just to be solid in the back and see how the game goes, how it progresses, and what we need to add to the game to try and turn it in our favour. I think if you go all out attack, yes, it's good, but you leave yourself open and vulnerable to conceding a goal. And let's be real, you don't want to go a goal down in a cup final like any game. If you go a goal down, it's so hard to come back. And
but I wouldn't trust either team to defend the 1-0 lead though.
No, oh God, no, definitely not.
You know what I mean? I don't think it's over at Pats unless there's a couple of minutes to go or something. If Bows or Pats got 1-0 at any point, I don't think the game is over. We even seen that a few weeks ago at Richmond Park. Dara Burke makes an interesting point here, I think, and he's right, to be fair to him. What about Promises equalising Richmond a few weeks back? Scrappy set piece goal, Bows got level. He's right. It was a terrible goal for Bows to give away, or Pats to give away for the set piece. I'll throw this in though. The guy that was supposed to be marking him was Melvin Lambert, and he's not going to be playing, and he's one of the laziest players I've seen at Pats for a long, long time. So that's out of character for Pats generally, but in general, that thing is in more to the character of Bowes. But as I said, Bowes can definitely exploit that Pats high line because, as I said, Pats don't have a lot of pace in defence. I think if you're playing that generally, I understand why he does it, but I think you need a bit more pace in defence if you need to do that. And then maybe O'Donnell has plans next season to bring in a couple of players with a bit more pace, particularly your wing backs or full backs need that pace as well. So to be honest, Nathan was woeful. Yeah, exactly. When I said supposed to be marking him, he was nowhere near him. He just decided not to bother, frankly. But you know what I mean? Like there's loads of things in this game, I think, as well. And as I said, I think it does promise to be. I'm just looking at a few questions here. Sorry. So, do you think, Daz? I'm just looking at a few questions here. Where do you see, from a Bowles point of view, and you're looking at Pats, where do you see the weaknesses in Pats? Where do you think Bowles should really highlight? You know, where do they win the game? I suppose.
I think our wingers need to try and exploit their fullbacks. I think you're looking at Bowen. I don't think Bowen's that fast. I think pace could catch him out. And I think the likes of Burton and Coote are very good at running at players. And I think that's something that Pats could get caught out on. And George Kelly is very good in the box. He's strong. He's strong. And you know, if you can get that ball in and get it to George Kelly, you're going to have a chance. And I think the full backs for Pats, I think, could be where it could be exploited. Balls are going to go at them. And I think if both wingers go at the same time, they could get caught because they can put a long ball into the back of the box then. And you've got your winger coming in, you've got George Kelly coming in. Straight away, there's problems. Obviously, very vulnerable if Jarrows comes out and catches it because we've got winger gone and we've got George Kelly gone and we've got other winger gone. Front three have gone out again. That could be exploited straight away by a counter attack. So that's a risky game to play, but I think that's how we could catch pass on the break, pace.
I would agree.
Stay out wide, stay out very, very wide. Don't cut in. Get George Kelly to stay central. Stay between the two centre backs because one who's going to have to commit to him. Have someone else run in to the back post. I think that's how we're going to do it.
And what happens sometimes, I've noticed when Ross Tierney plays, he can go left or right and suddenly there's an overload. And so you could have Tierney and a Birch kind of up against Bone kind of a thing. Like, and at that point, you're in trouble. Like,
and Tierney's very good off the ball at taking the player away from taking that defender, doing things that no one really will talk about, the ugly side of the game. Or side that goes talk about. If he's there beside George Kelly, and then Ross Tierney's running on the left and George Kelly's running on the right, you're going to have to commit to both players straight away. Yeah. Shit, what we're going to do? Because that ball's coming in and then two players are gone. And if Ross Tierney goes and no one goes with him, he's fine. And if he goes and the defender goes with him, there's space to run into. So then you've got the likes of Dawson Devine who loves going forward when that ball's going forward as well. So I think that's how we're going to do it.
Look at this one. Susan Marr said Bowles 2-1. In case anyone's wondering, that's my partner. The smart, you know what. But
2-1 Bowles.
I'll just jump in there quickly. Jamie J says keep we just start Bowen or Hickman right back. It has to be Bowen though for me. I don't think we have a winner here really, Jamie, but I just think with Hickman, I think he lacks awareness defensively. At least Bowen has a little bit of that. Bowen is generally exposed by the system. I think Bowen would do very well in the team that defends a bit deep, but he's a little bit exposed by the system there. But I do think I'd pick him ahead of Hickman. Hickman switches off completely. At least Bowen, you get a good effort with him, you know. But what's this? Who's Tierney going to again? Tierney's going to Motherwell in Scotland. But sorry, Daz. What were you, Keith? I swear your son support Bowles as well. He does, and that's why she's saying that. She's trying to annoy me. So Rory, one of us will be crying on Sunday evening. So I can't win, basically.
All of us.
Yeah, I agree. Hickman got caught out several times against Duffy in semi-final. Yeah, in fairness, a lot of players get caught out against Duffy, but I think Hickman's got caught out against nearly everyone I've seen so far. So that's more to the point. But he'd be a serious weakness. He's also very small as well. But yeah. Any other points you want to make, Daz, there? While I'm trying to think of a few questions, I have a few written down here. But...
Yeah, no, I think that's how boys should approach the game. I think
we've
done that a few times against different teams who maybe plays. They might go with three. I think Dundalk was one we actually did it against. They put three at the back against us, and we went at them that way because the defenders weren't fast. We were fast. We cut them out that way. And when they had possession, their fullbacks were up high and wide, up in the pitch, making the pitch as big as possible, which is great if you play that way and you can do it. But you're vulnerable then when you're cut out because there's a cross-field ball in them sections of space. We exploited that. I think that was when we won like 4-1 or something like that. But we did that way a few times. So I think that's how we're going to go. I think that's how we're going to do it. But look, Keith, to be honest with you, and you'd be the same as me, I take 1-0 scrappy win all in.
Absolutely, yeah. So, there's a good chance this goes to penalties, Daz. Like, nobody's talking about it, but there's a genuine chance that this goes to penalties. And I'll be honest, it's a horrible way to lose a cup final for anything.
It is. It's horrible.
It's horrible way to lose a cup final. I think you'd rather lose 4-0, to be honest, and say we didn't perform today, than losing penalties. Honestly, I think losing the penalties is because you didn't lose the football match. You see.
At least if you lost 4-0, it's your own doing. Like, you didn't perform.
At least.
Whereas if
you were team, there's no debate. Yeah.
If you were a minnow team and you were playing Pats, Bow, Shamrock Rovers, and you brought the extra time right to penalties and you lost, you'd be devastated more, I think.
Yeah.
Daz, blessed to be.
What do you think, Daz, is the best? I'm just trying to. What's the best performance that Bows have had this season, actually, in the league? I know this is a bit, it's probably difficult to think, but what do you think is their best performance this season?
I don't know if people will agree with this one. I'm going to tell you why I think this is one of the best. The win against Shamrock Rovers.
One in my head. So
the win against Shamrock Rovers 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, we had a left back playing right back. We had Lyons, we had Devine, we had Tierney out, we had Kelly out. We had McGuinness. No, McGuinness wasn't going. Sorry, but we had so many players out, and you're thinking, oh God, if anyone's looking at this and you're not a Bows fan, you're thinking this is going to be 3-0, 4-0 Shamrock Rovers win. I have had people tell me that. And I just think we performed so well that day. We really took it to Rovers. We did really, really good. So I think that was one of our best performances, really.
I agree with Lenny there. He threw that one out. Dogs at home. Dogs at home, 5-0 back in June. Yeah, that was an unreal performance. I was actually at the game as well. I was at Dalymount, and in fairness, Drogheda didn't play well in the day, but at the same time, Bows were scintillating that day, and
a really good one.
That was one of their really good performances. Like, they were really good in that game. Like, 5-0 was fully deserved. It wasn't like Jesus, they were unfortunate to lose 5-0. They did deserve that, like, that scoreline.
The win over Dundalk there, the one I was talking about, 4-1 win, that was really, really good as well. That was a really strong performance.
Yeah. I think for Pats, I'm trying to think back. Pats haven't had as many, like, a 5-0 or kind of like, Jesus, that was an unbelievable 5-star type performance this season. But they probably had less bad performances than Bows, let's say. But I think probably the cup semi-final, actually, for Pats. Maybe it was the atmosphere and everything lent to that. But still, it was a very good performance against Dundalk to beat them 3-1. A game that a lot of people thought Dundalk might win, to be fair. Because it was, the semi-final, people thought they experienced to see them through. But I think that was probably Pats' best display this season. Obviously, they've played each other a few times this season as well. Pats won 1-0 earlier on the season at Dalymount. Bows won 3-2 in a bit of a mad game at Dalymount, actually, as well. If I recall, Pats had 2 players sent off. Desmond and Birmingham, at the top of my head, sent off in that game. I'm not sure. Someone might correct me there again, but so many games you kind of forget. I think it was Desmond and Birmingham. Certainly Birmingham, anyway, got sent off in that game. And Bows were 3-1 up, and Pats actually scored with a couple of minutes to go to make it 3-2 with 9 men. And people were nervous that Bows fans were nervous that Pats were going to get an equaliser, which would have been mad. And they obviously drew 2-2 a few weeks ago at Richmond Park, which was arguably the game of the season in terms of the way it went. I said it before. 4 goals, mistakes, but Bows could have had 4 or 5 after they equalised, and then Bows were hanging on at the end of the game. Like, it was just so much happening, because out of all the games that went to this season, that was the game I couldn't process in my head the most for a
Yeah,
few days, which usually tells so much happened in the game, like, you know.
yeah, absolutely. They were all very, very good games too. The Pats had, and they went out, and obviously if both teams can produce them kind of games, that kind of performance on the day, it's going to be some final to look at. Yeah,
Who worries you the most though in the Pats team going into the final?
I
If you were
think
to name three players that concerns you the most, if you could say, right, these three Pats players are going to be injured, which three would you choose? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, firstly, I'd hate any player to be injured.
Yeah, or injured for a game, let's say.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be Smith,
Yeah,
Burns, and Forrester.
hypothetically. Smith, sorry,
Smith,
Burns, and Forrester.
Um,
Yeah, you're probably right as well,
I
because we're taking off a lot out of the Pats attack.
yes, I don't even think I really have to think about that one because if you're looking at the Pats, the other three players is going to spring to mind. It's going to hurt you the most. That's scored the most goals. That's the most creative players, and that's really on top of the game. Like so, who I probably know who you'd pick, but who would you pick out of the Bulls team?
I would go with the two boys in midfield, clearly, Devoy and Tierney. I think not only are they good, but could you imagine the whole Bulls would have in that midfield without the two of them? I mean, there's no one really to get on the ball properly. And Tierney, like his pressing ability, his movement off the ball, not to mention his likeliness to possibly get a goal. So them two, 100%. And probably, I'd probably say Liam Burt, believe it or not. And the reason is because Mallon wouldn't be fully fit, let's say. So if you take Burt out, it's they're the biggest holes nearly they'd have in their team if they were out, like, you know what I mean? You could easily say Kelly, but promise can cause issue there, you know what I mean?
Come in and he can fill the void a little bit more so.
Exactly, and his power and pace could get in
coming in
behind the pass defence. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
So
Fully agree. Yeah, they're definitely. Yeah, I fully agree. And we're just lucky now that Georgie Kelly's kind of back and he's fit. And as far as I know, if we're on the Bulls team, is fully fit and available. So, Malin, like you said, that you touched on, I think he's back now. He could come on and hopefully he sounds back next season. He's been playing with injuries this season. It's been a hard season for him, and he's wanted to go out and do well, and he's had moments and glimpses of his quality when he came on for Bulls and sparks in his game. So I do hope if he can remain injury free in the off season and he comes back in the pre-season and is fit and flying, I hope we can keep him and sign him back up.
Someone made a good point earlier on, just coming back to it now because I kind of forgot about it. Like they were kind of saying Pete Buckley's going to get the winner in the last minute. But funnily enough, often in these kind of finals, you talk about match winners. Sometimes the match winners are the guys you don't expect. It could be a Paddy Barrett header. It could be an Anto Breslin shot from 30 yards, which he hasn't done in 3 years or something. This often happens in these big games as well. And whereas other players, like we've talked about, might have a lot of influence how the game goes. Often in a cup final, the hero is someone completely unexpected, and that could easily happen here too, couldn't it?
Definitely. Like anyone is a danger in a cup final. Everyone's going to want to be the hero. Everyone's going to want to score that goal. If it's the 90th minute, everyone's going up for the corner. If it's 0-0, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable. You're going to try and go for it and attack it. And the momentum on the day, the pressure, and the occasion, the adrenaline will be going. Everyone will want to try and be that player that scored a winner in a cup final. So every single person on the team is a danger. Even the goalies, they go for a corner. It rarely happens, but they're still and they'll probably want to score more than. Imagine that. Imagine like a Jarvis goal wins the cup final or
a handball goal with the goalkeeper.
Imagine. But definitely. Like that's what I was saying too. But set piece has been extremely important for balls. We need to defend these because I'd actually be very worried about Pats with crossing. From a wide position crossing that ball in. You're thinking, oh God, Talbot come out and snatch it, do something with it, or get rid of it.
The only thing I will say with Pats from crossing situations, they won't really have anyone in there like Smith, as I say, drifts, Burns and King drift. So they've no big men in there to head it in. It's more so from set pieces and corners when the big men come up and stuff and cause problems like that.
I meant as in it's a free kick from a wide position.
Sorry, okay.
Yeah, because you'd have Barrett up, you'd have Desmond up, you'd have Lewis up, you'd have everyone in there, and they'd cause problems. And Bulls aren't really the tallest team in the league. So,
Or physically, they're not physically the strongest either. I think that's
no,
a
we're
big
not
thing
definitely
too.
not very more technical and
Yeah.
Physicality. You need someone who's going to match them height for height, man for man, and I think we lack that at times because we don't really have anyone who's a tough tackler on the team. Really, obviously we have Tierney's put a lot of strong tackles. Buckley puts in strong tackles, but there's no one nailed on that's going to.
Tierney's more of a kind of a presser, and you might nick the ball off, but that's fine as well. Like
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
criticism, but that's what he is. That's what he does. And even Keith Buckley, I wouldn't even call him a strong tackler as such. I call him more of a defender of space rather than someone that goes in with too many crunching tackles. That happens occasionally, but it happens to most players occasionally. But that's more his game, isn't it? Really?
Definitely, yeah, it sure is. But like I was saying there, like them balls coming in will be dangerous, and that's something that I am worried about balls. And I'm sure and they've been out in the training ground and they've been doing scenario play of how they're going to approach these kind of things, get rid of them. And I'm sure they've looked back on all Pat's goals and the goals where they scored the most goals, where they conceded the most goals, and they're going to try and exploit them positions as best as they can.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Daz? How confident are you, and what score are you going for?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident Bohs will win this one. I'll back them all the way. I'm so proud of where they come this season and that we're in the FAI Cup final. I'm absolutely delighted that we're in it. I still can't believe that we're in it. I'm so looking forward to going to it, buzzing for it. I'm going to say a 1-0 Ross Tierney goal. I think Bohs are going to win it.
And just quickly as well, Daz, like maybe unlike Pat's a little bit, I'll talk about that in a second before we go as well, but unlike Pat's a little bit, this is a season-defining game in many ways for Bohs, isn't it? Because if Pats obviously don't win the cup, they've had Europe to finish second. It's a good season. But Bohs, the season is almost defined by winning and losing the cup. There's a big difference in their season, isn't there?
Like you're going to look at it going, just what a season we've had, one of the best in years. We won the final and we're in Europe again.
Yeah. The league doesn't matter all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. And then if we lose the cup final, you want to be like, that's the worst season we've had now since we've gone to Europe, which it will have been.
But no, it's interesting that,
yeah, it's very interesting, and I think what a story it's going to be if we do win the cup final for Keith Long. Silverware brought FAI Cup final, European football, and hopefully then it can contract as good a players that we've brought into the club in previous years and better.
Exactly, and it's more a case of trying to get more 2-year, 3-year contracts, even 2-year contracts that a lot of clubs are starting to do now as well. But you're right. I think someone says as a Bohs fan, I'm not confident, but you're going to get that. You're going to get some Pats fans who are too confident. You're going to get some Pats fans who have the nerves are starting to kick into play, and same with Bohs fans as well. That's what happens. That's what makes these occasions good. You're excited and nervous at the same time. But I think it's one of them where whoever wins the cup, it's a magnificent achievement for and for both managers. It would be a serious, for example, with Stephen O'Donnell, like who's obviously at the club 2.5 years, but it's been a weird 2.5 years because he hasn't. This is his first proper full season because last year we had half a season. The year before he came in with 7 games to go. He came in and he's changed the culture at Pats. There's no doubt about that. There was a bit of a dodgy dressing room. Pats were seen as a soft touch, a bit good on their day, but a soft touch. He actually said to John Mountney, this is an interesting one, when John Mountney signed, he brought him into the dressing room with all the players, in front of all the players, and he asked John Mountney to give his honest opinion on his perception of Pats the last few years. And John Mountney said soft. So Steve O'Donnell, you know what he was trying to do, and the one thing he has done at Pats definitely is get most of the bad eggs out of the club, get players in with a good attitude, good leadership qualities, battling qualities, all those kind of things. Play for the shirt, even if you lose, you can't complain about the effort of the players. That's one thing he's done. But if he goes and wins a cup, it'll be the second cup Pats have won in about 55, 60 years, and it would just be an amazing achievement for him, and massive for his stock, I think, as well, though.
Definitely, and it's great to see a young manager it's just finished playing really the last few seasons to come into a club like Pats, someone who's a very respected, well-known club, to come in and start doing really well. And I'm delighted for him as a League of Ireland fan that he's come in and he's done so well. And I think he got a bit of stick there to start when results were already going his way, and he's certainly changed how they've been playing, and he's turned it around massively, and he's done so well since he came in, and he's really building something there. And I even think next season the Pats don't have as good of a season as they've had this season, like to get behind him and support him all the way, because he's definitely building something big there at Pats, and I think he's a really good young manager up and coming.
Yeah, from a Pat's point of view, hopefully they get a few players in that make a big difference. I think that'll be key. But I'll just answer that before we go. I know it's a bit unrelated, but what do you make of the news that came out of Drogheda today about the 4 lads? Yeah, Tommy, it's likely, it's been known for a while. It's hard to know where they're going because there's been a lot of changes there. But Brown, Doyle, I would say, are more likely to go anyway. There's still a question mark over Dan O'Reilly and Phillips, I have to say, whether they'll actually go or not. But I know Palace were definitely looking at Phillips, there's no doubt about that. Someone says Bowes will win. Viva pitch suits them, but to be fair, the Viva pitch could well suit Pats as well. Like you know, you know what I mean. I find that one's a bit difficult to always answer. To say I know Bowes have played there, but the Pats have players that can play in that pitch. There's no doubt about it as well. Were you going to say something, Daz? There?
I was going to say the Crystal Palace is looking at
They are, yeah. But Crystal Palace, yeah. But I have a feeling he'll stay. To be honest, that's just my personal opinion. Dan O'Reilly, I'm not too sure of, and he was linked with a move to Hamilton. But I'd be surprised if he went over to Scotland. That's all I'll say there. But the other two will definitely leave. It's just a question of where, James Brown and Doyle. But look, guys, we'll wrap it up there. I'm going to say Pats are going to win. Obviously, I'll go for 7-1. I'm going for the bookies. No, I'm not going for the bookies. I'll do it on my phone. Odds for Pats to win 7-1. Remember that, lads. On penalties. I'll say Pats will win. Obviously, Daz feels Bowes will win. I think it's going to be very tight, to be honest with you. I think it could go either way. Dan O'Reilly, that's it, yeah. That's what I meant. What did I say? Dan, whatever. But I think it's going to be very tight. It could go either way. Anyone that's gone to the Aviva, guys, enjoy it. Enjoy the day. Someone's going to be crying at the end, so you might as well enjoy the day at the start. And hopefully the weather's not too bad. It's not pissing rain or something like that. It's going to be a massive crowd. It's going to be a great occasion. Two good teams, two good managers, with the way they set up and that. So I'm looking forward to it. Guys, subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It's free. A lot of people I know watch and they don't subscribe because they think that they pay for it, which is interesting, but you don't. Just click subscribe and it just helps the channel to grow a little bit as well. Look, Daz, thanks for your contribution as well. And I won't say not best of luck on Sunday, to be honest with you. So you can start off now.
Best of luck on Sunday, Keith.
All right. I'll say it now as well. You'll need it. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. And we'll talk to you again. Thanks for watching. And obviously this will this is a live show, but you'll be able to see it again. But there's no point watching it again, obviously. But you can tell your mates and that to keep an eye on it. Love you, Dad. Hope you're crying on Sunday. Best way of saying it. And we're signing off there. Good luck.